Hi my dear students, welcome to my biology class. Today we are going to begin a new chapter, biomolecules. Bio means life, life-related molecules, the molecules that are present in the living organisms. We, the human beings, take different types of food items. That includes cereals, pulses, vegetables, fruits, seeds and so on. What do we get from these kind of food items? We get nutrients. The nutrients like carbohydrate get from the cereals. We get protein from the milk, egg, meat and also from the pulses. Then we get fat from the seeds, nuts or other oily food. Vitamins and minerals are derived from the vegetables and fruits. When we study about all these nutrients have a common element, that is carbon. So, living tissue is made up of living cells. When we study or analyze the cell is also made up of different types of carbon-based compounds. So, all those such carbon-based compounds that are present in the living system or living tissues are together termed as biomolecules. When we study about the chemical composition of a living tissue, it consists of various organic and inorganic compounds. The major elements that are found in the living tissue are mainly carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, etc. Similarly, when we examine the elemental composition of the earth crust also consists of similar components or elements that are present in the living tissue. You look at the table now. This table shows a comparison of elements present in non-living and living matter. Let's consider the elements that are present both in the earth crust and the human body. These are the major elements or similar elements present in both the cases. Hydrogen, carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur, sodium, calcium, magnesium and silicon. So let's compare the percentage of these elements both in these cases. So look at here, the percentage of hydrogen in Earth's crust is 0.14, here 0.5. Carbon, here 0.03 and in human body it is 18.5. Oxygen in the Earth's crust it is 46.6 but in the human body it is 65. Nitrogen is very little in the Earth's crust but it is 3.3% in human body. Sulfur 0.03 in the Earth's crust and 0.3 in the human body. So when we consider these elements, the amount of hydrogen, carbon, oxygen, nitrogen and sulfur is high in the human body than the earth crust, these elements. So when we compare the percentage, the amount of these elements is high in the human body because these are the essential components or elements that are required for the formation of various biomolecules or compounds in the living body. So let's consider the remaining elements like sodium, calcium, magnesium and silicon. Here in the earth's crust, sodium is 2.8%, in the human body 0.2% only. Calcium 3.6 in the earth crust and in human body that is in 1.5%. Magnesium 2.1 here, 0.1 there. Silicon is 27.7% in the earth crust, then negligible amount of silicon in the human body. So it shows that the human body requires these elements in very little amount, that means a negligible amount like sodium, calcium, then magnesium, silicon. But the earth crust consists of a huge percentage of these elements because these are present in different forms in different parts of the earth. This table shows that both living and non-living things consist of similar type of elements. Now let's study how to analyze the chemical composition of a living tissue with the help of an experiment. The next topic is analysis of chemical composition of living organisms. To find out the chemical composition of the living organisms, different types of analytical procedures are followed. Two such analytical procedures are chemical analysis of organic compounds and ash analysis for inorganic compounds and elements. First of all, let's learn about chemical analysis of organic compounds. To find out the organic composition of the living tissue, we need to take a piece of living tissue, either a piece of liver tissue or a plant tissue. So first of all, we need to take a piece of liver tissue or plant tissue or a part of a plant or a leaf. And we need to take a mortar and a pestle to mix this piece of liver tissue or a plant tissue with the trichloroacetic acid. Then grind it using mortar and pestle in which compound? Trichloroacetic acid. The chemical formula is written as then we get a thick slurry of this liver tissue along with the trichloroacetic acid. So next point, they get a thick slurry. So we need to filter this slurry by using a cotton cloth or cheesecloth or by using a filter paper. So filter them using cotton cloth or filter paper. Suppose if it is a test tube, then we use funnel for the filtration procedure. So we use filter paper. Okay, then when we filter this thick slurry through this filter paper, we get two fractions. The substance which is filtered out in the test tube is called filtrate, and the substance that is remained over the filter paper is called retentate. After the filtration of the slurry, we get two fractions like this. One is filtrate, which is called acid soluble pool, and the other one is called acid insoluble pool or retentate, which is remained over the filter paper. And this acid insoluble pool consists of large molecules of organic compounds such as the large biomacromolecules. Biomacromolecules means these biomacromolecules have the molecular weight more than 10,000 Dalton. More than 10,000 Dalton. What is molecular weight? While in the acid soluble pool consists of the small organic compound which will have that less molecular weight that ranges or that lies in between 18 to 800 Dalton. Those molecules are biomicromolecules. Okay, so biomolecules are of two types. Those are biomacromolecules and biomicromolecules. Macromolecules have more than 10,000 molecular weight, more than 10,000 Dalton, while the biomicromolecules have 18 to 800 Dalton. Examples of biomacromolecules are proteins, lipids, carbohydrate, nucleic acids like DNA and RNA. Okay, these are the four major biomacromolecules that are found in the acids insoluble pool. So here there is one important thing you have to note down. So lipids are actually biomicromolecules. Their molecular weight actually lies in between 18 to 800 Dalton. But these are found along with the biomacromolecules. Do you know why? While grinding, these lipid molecules club together to form large vesicles. Actually, lipids are insoluble in water, and while grinding, these form as large vesicle. You know, this is one of the major components of the cell membranes of all the living tissue, so that these are water insoluble. At the same time, they form as large vesicles, so that the molecular weight of these large vesicles lies more than 10,000 Dalton. That's why they are considered as, or they are found along with the biomacromolecule. They are not strictly biomacro, they are actually biomicromolecules. Got it? So that's the important point about lipids. Then biomicromolecules. These are small molecules with a small molecular weight or less molecular weight. For example, nucleotide. A nucleotide is made up of nitrogen, phosphorus and sugar. The simplest form of protein is amino acid. So amino acid is an example of biomicromolecule. Another one, monosaccharide or glucose. So monosaccharide is the simplest form of polysaccharide. All these are examples of biomicromolecules. The acid soluble pool consists not only these small organic compounds but also some inorganic compounds like phosphate, carbonate, etc. After the filtration of both the retentate and the filtrate, both are subjected to various isolation and purification procedure to get the compounds in pure form. Certain analytical procedures can be used to separate various organic compounds and also to study their chemical structure and molecular formula. What can we understand from this analytical method? The living tissue consists of or composed of various organic compounds, both large organic compounds like biomacromolecules and small organic compounds biomicromolecules. The next analytical procedure is the Asch analysis for finding out the inorganic compounds and elements that are present in the living tissue. For this also we need a living tissue, either a piece of liver tissue or a leaf. First point, we need a piece of liver tissue or a leaf. Then we need to take the wet weight of the tissue. Wet weight means the weight of the tissue along with the water. That means a tissue, a living tissue consists of water. So take the wet weight. Then next step, dry the tissue. Then we need to take the dry weight. Dry weight means the tissue, when it dries, the water gets evaporated so that it does not contain water molecules, so that we can take a dry weight. So the difference between the wet weight and dry weight gives the exact amount or volume of the tissue. So after taking the dry weight, we need to take the tissue and burn it. So next step, burn the tissue. So what happens? All carbon compounds that are present in the tissue get oxidized to form carbon dioxide and water. So carbon compounds oxidized to form what? Carbon dioxide and water, so that the remaining part is called ash. The ash contains inorganic elements, various types of inorganic elements and certain kind of inorganic compounds. Now let's understand which are the various types of elements that are present in the living tissue. Look at the table now. This table shows the inorganic constituents of living tissue. The various inorganic elements that are present in the living tissue are sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium, along with a little amount of water, and various inorganic compounds like sodium chloride, calcium carbonate, phosphate and sulfate. So these are the various important inorganic elements present in the living tissue. What can we conclude from these two types of analytical procedures, like a chemical analysis for the organic compound and ash analysis for the inorganic compound? The living tissue consists of both organic compounds and inorganic elements and compounds. Both are essential for maintaining the life, because each biomolecule or inorganic element performs a specific function. So without these biomolecules, the cell is meaningless. Means the cell cannot function actively, or it is like a dead cell. So we can conclude that all those carbon compounds that are present in the living tissue are biomolecules. Biomolecules are of two types, biomacromolecules and biomicromolecules. The living tissue contains not only organic compounds but also inorganic elements and compounds. All these elements are required for the proper functioning of the life, for the maintenance of life. That's why those molecules are known as biomolecules. Okay, we will learn about each biomolecule in detail in the upcoming session. So I hope you have understood the topic well. This is the introduction of the chapter. So we will learn more about biomolecules, its nature and its properties in the upcoming sessions. So with this, I conclude my session. Thank you and have nice moments.